You are now listening to Candid Discussions, live on Ripped Radio. Candid Discussions serves you up with the best place to be to discuss love, dating, relationships, and all the obstacles that come with them. Kick back and listen to Candy and Unrestricted D on Candid Discussions.
Ooh, okay. Welcome to Candid Discussions. I'm Candy.
And I'm Unrestricted D.
And I don't think it's been a minute since we've been on the air.
It's been quite a minute.
I know. We had to leave the country for a little while.
Yeah,
had to get some stuff together.
We did something before that, too, I thought.
I don't remember.
It's been, what, 2 or 3 weeks?
I think Trump was doing his shit again.
Oh, we had a break.
Yeah, we had
a break.
We had an unscheduled. Oh, that's right. We had an unscheduled break, and then 1 week we were away. So I think it's been about 2 weeks since we've been on here.
Yeah.
Wow, dang.
But we're back.
Yes, we're back.
Yes.
And tonight's topic is emotional growth.
What exactly is emotional growth?
It's when your emotions grow.
Is that it?
I don't know.
Is that what you came up with?
How you gonna come for me? See, we have a special specialist in the studio, and she's just running a little behind, but she'll be in assist us with this topic. But to me, I was looking at it from the perspective of when you're in a relationship and how you grow emotionally, things to make the relationship better.
And I looked at it something totally different.
For real?
Yeah. Maybe that's part of being in a relationship when you're not on the same page.
I say tomato, you say tomato.
Tomato.
No, you say tomato.
I say tomato. All right, so let's give a definition of emotional growth. It says the last aspect of emotional growth is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand how to control your emotions, your emotion triggers, and your emotional statuses.
That's deep. That's way deep.
Deep.
I could not just tell you that off the dome. I'm not.
Why not? See, I did my homework.
I'm not. That you just Googled?
I went to the page that I already Googled it.
I'm trying. My computer's not working.
Oh, pull a little tink tink.
I know. Maybe
All
my
right.
husband bought me a new one.
So, yeah, if you got a good man, you might just do that. Do some good things. But look, how do you feel? Well, do you feel like you have emotionally grown?
Yeah, definitely. In life and in relationship too, yes. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that I bite my tongue on in life, relationship, work-wise, just everything that I probably wouldn't otherwise put my foot in my mouth by saying stuff because people rub me the wrong way.
So do you feel like that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that's a good thing. I don't think everything needs to be discussed or argued about.
Okay. But is it necessary arguing if you express how you feel about something?
Sometimes expressing how you feel is irrelevant. They don't care how you feel, and expressing it doesn't really solve an issue. You'll probably waste 15 minutes of your life trying to discuss something and still walk away with them not caring.
But what about those that do care about it?
If they do care, then I'll express myself. But after a while, if it's a particular person that I've expressed myself to, and I've expressed myself a few times with them, and they seem to not care, then I'm not going to continually express my feelings with them. So emotionally, I know the argument, the shouting, or whatever is going to happen is not worth my time.
Okay. So how you distinguish what's worth your time and what's not? For instance, if we get into a verbal altercation, and I just like forget it, I'm leaving. Do you feel like that's something you should approach, or do you feel like that's something you should just go ahead and let me go?
I think I should let you go.
Okay.
It's to me, if you get in a verbal argument with someone, and it got to the point that one of them have to walk away, you should let that person walk away. It's why sit there and continually argue with them. You need to let the person cool off. They're not in the right headspace to argue, and sometimes walking away saves extra words being spit out that they probably don't mean, but would have spit out because they're still upset.
Nah, you got to hear what I say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I'll walk away.
Nah.
I don't want to hear that.
I guess that's one thing that I emotionally haven't done. I feel like if I have something to say, I feel like you should hear it. Because I personally think you should give it away right then and there. Because if you hold on to it, who knows when it's going to come back out.
True. But it depends on what you have to say and how you say it. If you're in an argument with someone and you start saying, man, fuck you, bitch, and all this other stuff, then I should walk away. I don't think I should sit there and listen to you or someone call me out my name.
Okay, I mean, I can understand.
It depends on how the argument is going.
I can understand on the disrespect level, but
if it's a genuine discussion that's not heated, then of course you're supposed to stand there and resolve it. But if it's a heated discussion that's going to cause y'all to actually break up and go your separate ways, I feel as though I should walk.
But who's to say that? Okay, if it does get vulgar, okay, let's say that. If it does get vulgar, who's to say that you... People, sometimes when people curse, they get, a little passionate behind it, right? And I'm like, fuck this shit. Now you're going to listen to me, blah, 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 blah. But that's not necessarily cursing at you. I mean, it's being vulgar, but it's not necessarily cursing at you per se.
It depends on the person's trigger.
Okay, so look, apparently we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Exactly.
But we do have our guest for tonight. Ms. Collins, she is a certified life coach who specializes in, I had my paperwork together, you gotta excuse me, self-love and healing from trauma. She possesses a bachelor's degree in psychology from University of Maryland and is a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from Walden University. Her style of counseling interrogates in an unconventional approach with, come on, you got too many big words in here for me. And I'm coming from...
Cognitive behavior therapy.
Yes, CBT.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and finish that?
To facilitate individual and relationship counseling. Over the past 10 years, she has changed the lives of many people. From school age to elderly, Ms. Collins has used her social media platform, writing and public speaking to reach people and teach self-love and healing. Welcome. Welcome to Candid Discussions.
Thank you.
All right, so
shoot.
we actually been, it's a stamp right there.
Yeah, and
What I missed?
it's just, a lot.
We actually been debating on what is emotional growth. But to give a little history back, we've actually been friends on
You don't have to, but you can.
Facebook for quite some years, me and you.
Mm-hmm.
This is our first interaction that I remember.
Yeah.
In
person?
In person.
Yeah.
But welcome to the show. And then, when someone tagged you in Candy Post, I said, I know her. She's my Facebook friend. So I was pressed to say that.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I was. But
But I found you.
Please give us your perspective of emotional growth.
Okay. So to me, that's kind of a broad topic because it entails so much. Put it
Now
on.
bring the mic closer to you.
Okay. It entails so much. So you have emotional development, you have emotional maturity, and then you have emotional intelligence. To me, emotional growth embodies all of those.
Okay, so you said intelligence,
Development and maturity.
development, and maturity. Okay,
Yeah, and
what do you mean by maturity?
I put them in that order respectively because emotional development starts in childhood,
Okay.
right? And then you get to maturity. That is you have to grow to get to that point.
Well, somebody at the table still working on that, but I won't call it that.
Okay, so
Last name ends with Davis.
Yes.
okay, so I just think that from childhood there are stages of development like they have kids that throw temper tantrums.
Correct.
Right? Why is that?
Adults.
Because they don't know how to handle their anger. They don't know how to process and express properly. And, you know, it's this kind of an epidemic because a lot of people that grow into adulthood that do the exact same thing, you
Yes.
know, as they would in childhood. And that means that they never grew emotionally.
So would you say shutting down could be kind of part of that as well?
Yeah, because what happens is we tend to use what we learn and our survival skills, our coping skills, instead of learning, you know, who teaches us that? If you have two parents that didn't grow emotionally, then how are you going to learn it?
True.
Right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
And that's why I use the word epidemic.
Right.
So now you got adults that's trying to communicate and be in a relationship, and they don't know what they're doing because they never learned it. It's like a trial and error thing.
So do you feel like someone who hasn't, you say emotional mature,
Maturity, yeah.
can be functional in the workplace?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because
I normally come up with those things. You know.
that is a great question. I mean, they can be functional. It all depends on the environment. So if you're talking about what kind of environment we're talking about,
Let's say something when they have to deal with employees and customers.
they're not going to be able to. They're going to function like that no matter what relationship they have. So you're talking about having a boss that somebody appointed them to that role, but they don't really know how to deal with, you know, conflict or to resolve conflict. And so now you have an issue because everything starts with leadership,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
That goes back to the same thing as it being parents in the household, and everybody's learning from them. So if they don't know what they're doing, the kids are going to be the same way,
Definitely.
right?
All right. So you said emotional maturity, and what's the other one?
Emotional intelligence.
Ooh, a lot of people don't have intelligence.
Right, but
So
intelligence,
break that down to me.
intelligence and emotional intelligence are different.
Okay.
So emotional intelligence just means that you know how to recognize. I heard you say the word trigger earlier. So you know how to recognize your triggers, and not saying that you automatically know what to do with them, but you're at least aware of them to the point where you can articulate or express that to somebody, right? I may not know exactly how to react, or if you know that you shut down when you become triggered, it's just an awareness.
So can trigger be words or actions, or could be both?
Both. It could be both. It could even be something that's neither.
So what we were discussing earlier is if you get in an argument with someone and they touch your buttons, triggered your trigger, what should you do?
You should express that to them. It's not to say, I want you to change how you talk to me, but to let them know that this is what happened when you said that.
Okay.
Right.
So if they refuse to acknowledge or take a step back or stop pushing your buttons, what should you do then?
So this is a twofold thing because we can only control ourselves, right? So not only will you have to try to, now you know that you have a trigger. And what is a trigger? That's something that's unresolved. It could be trauma, right? Which usually it is. So it's something that's unresolved. It could be depression, it could be anxiety, but something that brings you back to that point. You can only control yourself. So if you express something to somebody and they don't care about what you're saying, is that somebody you want to continue talking to? Now you got to create a boundary because you're not going to be able to heal it if you're constantly being triggered. You can't heal it at the same time.
So will your emotional maturity kick in? Because you might want to walk away.
There's nothing wrong with walking away. If you know what's good for you, why would you stay there and deal with that?
Well, I think whoever's arguing with me needs to stay there. Because I have a lot to say.
If somebody arguing with you, they got to stay.
Oh
you know
my
I got
gosh,
to put the
I
camera on you.
can't.
You say that.
If you're having an argument with me, you have to stay there and listen to it because I have a point to get across.
Are you
wanna show
serious? He's serious?
Dead ass.
He's dead serious?
Dead ass.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I can talk about that a little bit. So I do know that there are, usually in a relationship, there are two different communication styles when it comes to conflict. There's usually one person that, just like you, they want to talk about it right now.
Right then and there.
I
Get
wanna
it out the way.
Nah, we're going to get this over with. Ain't going to be no tension, right?
Yep.
And then there's another person who needs to process things. And they take a little bit longer. It doesn't mean they don't want to deal. They might not want to deal with it, honestly, but they might know it needs to be dealt with still.
What I'm going to say is don't you come on our show talking about my wife.
That you're that person,
I'm not going to sit there and argue with you for 4 hours. It's not gonna
right?
happen.
Right.
It's not.
And it could be for a number of reasons. She might want to be more productive with her time.
Well, I have stuff to do with my time, but I need to express how I feel about something when it happens.
Right. And even if you express it like at that moment, which is fine, that's fine. It doesn't mean that it has to be resolved at that moment. So expressing something and having a resolution are not mutually exclusive.
She got a degree in this.
I feel like I'm
You don't have to feel like that. I'm just trying to explain it.
I didn't
because-
say anything.
But no, I agree. It doesn't have to be resolved right then and there.
Yeah, because you can let somebody know, like, I didn't like this situation or what you said to me triggered me, but if that person doesn't want to discuss it at that moment for whatever reason, it could be tired, whatever the case may be, they can, if they are emotionally mature, they will say, we're going to revisit that later and actually come back to it, not just leave it
That's normally me. That's normally
out in the open.
I'll say what I have to say and say, you got an appointment for tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, and still be able to go on with your day and not give them the silent treatment, because that's a sign of emotional immaturity, right?
We're both emotionally immature.
We're guilty on that one.
Well, that's what the show for, right? So we can grow.
I remember one time this is a couple of years ago, got into it. I ignored him for a whole week.
Wow. Is that, no, we ain't about to do no session right now. Let's say, is that
I mean, that
common?
was before we would start dating.
Okay,
That was
okay.
before we would start dating.
So you guys have grown somewhat to be where you are now.
I have coped.
He smiled right after he said that. I don't even believe him.
I have learned to understand my triggers.
Yo,
when
that's
I got
good.
to them.
That's good.
You got triggers?
I can't tell you because you automatically push them.
I just thought he was about to say you're going to use them against me.
Oh no, she already does. I think she already does.
I don't think you
bothers
had triggers.
me. Yeah, okay. Okay, so what's the last one again? I'm sorry.
Emotional intelligence. So it's different from being like intelligent. You know how people are like book smart or street smart, or you can be intelligent in any aspect, but when it comes to dealing with emotions, it's like you're able to understand the difference between each emotion. Like, for example, being sad doesn't equal being angry, or you know what I mean? Like they're two totally different things.
Correct.
Right? So a lot of times people say, I feel this way, but that's not even what they mean. They might just mean frustrated, right? Did they say angry? Did they say upset or whatever? So emotional intelligence is just knowing the difference between each emotion and what you're feeling to be able to express that to somebody else.
You disagree? You shook your head no last time.
I don't know the difference. I have two emotions.
What are those?
Happy and mad.
That's what I'm
true.
saying. No,
That
that's
is
most
true.
people. They're not
true.
even able to distinguish what it is. So how can you tell somebody how you feel or react properly if you don't even know what you're
Lord.
feeling? It's not
I
possible.
feel mad.
But it could just be, like I said, frustration, irritation, agitation.
Maybe she hasn't emotionally mature yet.
It could be a lot of different things.
We're gonna work on that.
It's
We need to get on the same level.
I'm telling you, it's a huge difference, and that, to me, that's why I'm in this field in the first place, because I get so many clients that, first of all, I get a lot of clients that when they come to me, they don't even want to talk about themselves. They talk about whoever is significant in their lives, and I'm like, why are we talking about them?
Because normally they're the ones who are the problem.
But that you can't say that, because again, we can only control ourselves. What can I do in an hour counseling session about another person that's not present?
Well, I'm going to say, in my circumstances, I am correct.
Mad. I'm mad.
Okay, we're going on you again.
About 85% of the time, I am correct. What's that? 5 plus 10. So 15% of the time. Oh my God. No, 5% is her. 10% might be a tie.
Oh my gosh.
You see? This is why I'm only happy and mad.
Oh, you got two emotions.
That's it. Two emotions.
You know what?
But no, I think dealing with each other, I think we both have, like you said, grew
Grown, yeah.
in our
True.
maturity, intelligence, and what's that one?
Development.
Development.
Oh, we still
Yeah, the
working
last
on that.
time we got in an argument, I didn't even ignore you all day. I just ignored you for 2 hours.
Oh, so it's getting better.
Yeah.
The time is dwindling. That's good. That is growth.
That's only because we rode together.
When I was married, when I was in, you silly. When I was in my most toxic relationship ever, he would ignore me for a whole week at a time.
Wow.
Hey.
I'm sitting there thinking, how you propose to somebody, you won't even talk to him. That don't make no sense.
Sometimes it feels that way.
But I
feel like that.
He was emotionally immature.
Okay,
That's what it is.
That can't be seen as immature. I will give you
What
that.
is another justification for that? I would love to know.
You need to pay for what you did.
Hey, what does that mean?
You need to feel the effects of how you made me feel.
Without expressing it.
No, maybe I did express it, but then I'm going to give you the
But how does that give them a chance then to rectify it if you let them know, but then you're going to punish them?
Hey.
Because see, now you're borderline emotionally abusive. I guarantee you right now, if you were to Google emotional abuse, silent treatment would be on the list. Guaranteed.
I'm being emotional.
In some form.
You being emotionally
I mean, you know, I'm glad you guys can laugh about it, but a lot of times people do display abusive behavior and they don't even know it. They don't know it. And that's why the people who are being abused emotionally don't know it either.
It's too hard to give the silent treatment when you
64 signs.
And that's what I'm saying. I bet you could probably check off about 10 of them like, yep, I do that, but you don't know. I mean, it's different when you don't know. You can't be held accountable for something like that. But once you know, now he reading the list. I mean, he know now, right?
Yeah,
so now you can hold him accountable.
I definitely agree. I definitely will say.
Withdrawing sex.
That's
to me, that's equivalent to the silent treatment. Because she want to talk and you want to have sex. So I'm not going to give you what you want because I'm mad at you. That's emotional immaturity.
Shit.
Some of these things on here, it says yelling, name calling, joking, sarcasm.
I was just about to say in a sarcastic way. Yeah.
Wow.
Put down your interests.
Talking to each other.
No, it's not.
Pushing your buttons.
Now, I'm pretty sure that list wasn't as long years ago, you know.
Yeah.
But when you start to abuse certain things, I'm not saying that you can't be silent and if you need time to think or just have space for a minute, that's one thing. But when you start to do it habitually, now you're talking about going to borderline, you know, emotional abuse. And I only say that because you have to look at the effect of it on the other person.
Okay.
If it doesn't affect them, it's not, you know, if it's not effective, you probably wouldn't do it. So you know it affects them. Yeah. That's why you do it.
Yeah, they say they walk out, jealousy.
See, walk out.
Turning the tables, using guilt.
Oh, let me put it back on so they know.
Saying you have no sense of humor, blaming you for their problems, destroying and denying, shutting down communication.
Yes.
He
said breathing. He said breathing.
As you just said, withholding affection.
Yeah.
Let me see. Calling you needy, interrupting, codependence.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now that's my favorite subject. So
we need to come back to that subject.
Yeah, that's my favorite subject.
That's we're gonna do another show on that one with you.
Wow, this is a lot of stuff on here.
And like I said, it wasn't that long.
You gotta send me the link so I can read it.
It wasn't that long before because when I started looking up that type of stuff to see like what I was going through, like what is going on? What is this? Why would again I didn't understand the not talking to me. It was so intense and it was just so long, such a long period of time. I didn't get it. But what I realized was every time I wanted to confront a situation, because I'm you in the relationship. I want to talk right now. I want to get it over with. I don't want no tension later. I just like everything to be happy all the time. So I would want to talk about it. And what I realized was he did not want to be held accountable.
Of course, yeah.
So how can I do that? I can either deflect, which don't work with me. As you're not going to win an argument with anybody in this field.
Do you believe in zodiac signs?
Yeah, somewhat.
What's your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what does that mean?
Oh, I don't know. All I know is Capricorn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that a lot of the traits they do seem to hold true.
Yeah.
I also believe, I've always believed this, most of the traits hold true is because from the time you are little, you are told you're a Gemini. And you are told that this is what makes up a Gemini.
Yeah.
So you continue that behavior through your whole entire life.
Wow. Now that can go for more than just a sign.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but that's anything. That's the same as your parents telling you that you're a loser.
Yeah.
You're gonna grow up thinking you're a loser. If your parents grow up telling you that you're a star, you're gonna make something with yourself. You're gonna try your best to do that.
Right.
So.
And then it affects you if you can't hold up to that standard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just to backtrack, it says character assassination and also public embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go back and.
Because those are forms of devaluation. So if you are in I'm sorry, I keep doing it. Wrong button. If you are in a romantic relationship with somebody, I'm guessing how you got there was to let that person know what you admire about them in some form, right? So when you start putting them down, that is a complete contradiction to why you're with them in the first place.
That's true.
Right?
Right.
So that's why it's called devaluation, because now you're devaluing that person for your own benefit, which is to not, to not feel worse than what they are, or to feel above them.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah. And that's how a lot of emotionally immature relationships play out. I use the term narcissism a lot. Anybody that's watching my live or knows me knows that that's a huge topic that I talk about, because narcissistic abuse is not,
What is that?
Narcissistic abuse is basically a narcissist in a relationship. Typically, it's with a codependent. So it doesn't always have to be, but the reason that it's usually like that is because the codependent is the person that will constantly give and sacrifice themselves for the person that they're with. And a narcissist only cares about themselves, so they can't be with another selfish person, right? They have to be with somebody that's willing to sacrifice their wants and needs for them. So the narcissistic abuse comes in when they start to abuse the qualities of their partner. I know you're going to forgive me, so I'm going to keep cheating. I'm going to keep messing up, right? And so it goes into so many different realms of abuse. But just when you talk about the emotional aspect of it, it usually starts out with idealization. And idealization is a thing because when you have two emotionally healthy people, right, and they get into a relationship, they don't have to say, "Oh my gosh, you're the love of my life, you're my soulmate," 2 weeks after meeting them. They typically have some type of boundary with that, right? Like, I know this person's cool, but they might have some skeletons in their closet, so let me wait a little bit. You know what I mean? You kind of tend to do that. But a narcissist won't do that. They'll idealize you no matter what and make you feel like you are on cloud nine every day just so you can drop your walls, and now you trust them immediately. I'm going to trust this person because they admire me so much.
Wow.
And then what they start to do once they got you hooked, that's the hook, right? Once they have you hooked, now they start to devalue you. And that means to put you down, to ignore you, to withdraw, to create distance between you, all types of things. They could, that whole list. They can do any number of those things, but it's only going to be what they know you care about. If you don't care, if you show that you don't care, if you don't give them any type of reaction to feed off of, they're going to try something else.
So what about the person that feels love is in every person that they meet?
Yep, those are the codependents. That's my favorite subject.
So do you feel like that is part of the lesser part of emotional growth, or?
Kind of, because again, in order to be emotionally mature, you have to have boundaries. And to have boundaries, you have to know that everybody's not like you. Right? Everybody's not like you. Everybody does not possess what they are showing you initially. I teach people about the 5 stages of relationships and how people don't usually get past stage 3 because the first stage is infatuation, and that's their representative, right? That's just what they're showing you. So when you tell them you love them in stage 2, you're only telling them you love the part of them that they showed you, which is just the percentage. Then when you get to stage 3, it's like, okay, now this the real you. Now, I have to decide whether or not I can deal with whatever else you presented as a whole. And most people don't get past that because they try to change the person. I don't like this. You didn't used to do that, but this is who I am. And they don't change. And that's when they break up and stuff start going haywire.
I agree. The changing part is always kind of a tricky thing.
Yeah.
Because you may want to, not necessarily change someone, but you may want to, I don't know, what Beyonce say, upgrade you. You may want to upgrade some things about that person, but they may take it as though you are trying to change them.
Yes, and that's called disillusionment. If you've been you, which you have for 30, 40 years, how can somebody meet you and in 6 months want to change a quality about you? Now, you can inspire growth in somebody. That's different. Or promote growth in them. But change is a total different thing. Okay. Do I need to explain the difference?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say somebody was bad with money. Okay? They just horrible. And you watching them and you trying to plan a life with them and you like, this ain't gonna work if this is how they operate, right? They've been operating like that their whole life. So to say, well, you need to stop doing this, or I'm not going to be with you if you're doing that, that's trying to create change in a very ineffective way.
I agree.
Okay? But to show them different options or different results, different outcomes that could possibly happen should they change their habits and improve their habits, that's promoting growth, not trying to change them. They still have the option whether or not they want to do it. And then you have the option whether or not you can tolerate it. But that's different than trying to change somebody.
Okay, I agree.
And that's what people don't realize. Like, most people are so territorial. I know you guys know some people that are like that. Mm-hmm. They act like they own other people. You know, somebody can be in love with you today and change their mind tomorrow, and they have every right to do that. We don't think about stuff like that.
I agree.
They have every right to change their mind. But we feel like we own them, or they're indebted to us because of how much time and effort we invested in them. But we got to keep in mind, that's why boundaries are important. So you don't feel like you poured your whole self into somebody without a return on your investment.
But shouldn't you want a return on your investment?
You should want one, but you can't demand one.
I agree with you. You can't demand one.
That's the difference. We try to demand it. I gave you this, all this I done for you. I know y'all heard these things before. In some capacity, maybe not with each other, but in some capacity, you've heard somebody say that to somebody. All that I've done for you, and you just gonna leave and try to guilt trip people into staying into a relationship. I don't owe you anything. Everything you did, you should have done genuinely and from, your own heart, but not to make me feel like I owe you something back. No, that's crazy.
Okay, you're dropping too much knowledge. So we have to take a music break right now. You are listening to Candid Discussion with Unrestricted D
and Candy
and Miss Collins here for tonight's show,
Emotional Growth.
All right, we'll be right back. Feel free to call in after the break, 301-232-5700. Once again, that number is 301-232-5700. All right, we're back here with Candid Discussion. I'm Unrestricted D.
I'm Candy.
And we have Miss Qualamia Collins.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right,
Yes.
tonight she will be talking to us about emotional growth. Emotional growth, as she stated earlier, if you didn't catch it earlier in the show, could be a very broad
Definitely.
topic. Covers several different forms of growth within a person.
Let me get it. Emotional intelligence. Emotional
Maturity.
maturity
And emotional
and
development.
emotional development.
Yeah.
See, you didn't take your cliff notes. All right.
One
so-
out of three ain't bad.
All right. So while on the break, one of our friends put something on the live chat. She said, "How do you deal with when someone wants you to adapt to habits that they have that are important to them, but aren't willing to give you a chance to adapt to those changes?" She said, "Like you said, shouldn't you, like you said, shouldn't you want to give the other person a chance to change? After all, they've been who they are for however old they are." And that was her thoughts. That was Makisha. Makisha also has a radio show too. So shout out to her to actually take the time and listen to our show.
Cool.
So I'm speculating because she didn't really get into details, but I guess maybe a habit of that one may think could be kind of negative or maybe on the borderline of negative, maybe. For instance, like maybe smoking, and we discussed maybe drinking. There is a, even though it may come out funny, but people do have porn habits. So it may be
That's
one
not a bad
doesn't
habit.
one doesn't like porn and the other one does, but they might try to get them to
Watch it
get
with
into
them.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else things could you?
Not negative, but exercising. Did you say that already?
Yeah, that was the
No.
first one I thought of working
Yeah,
out.
that's what I thought of when I said it.
Because
but-
I know a lot of guys. You said that was a girl, right?
Yes.
That asked that. I know a lot of guys. I literally hear them say in Facebook groups, for the most part, that they would like for their girl to work out because they do. And I'm like, well, that's what you want to do. What, I don't understand why they would want them to do that with them. Not saying why they would want them to do that with them, but to the point, that it almost becomes a requirement in the relationship. Like my girl has to work out.
Then you
Well, I
need to
mean-
find a girl at the gym.
I mean, I don't want to talk about that because we talked about this on another show and it got kind of heated.
Oh, okay.
But I can see your point, and I can see there is. Hold on, somebody responded. Oh, she said, "Ding, ding, ding! You all were correct." She said, "Exercise was exactly what she was referring to."
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're women, so we know.
We know.
That's
But
what.
exercise is important. I mean,
But exercise at your level and your pace. That's the issue. A lot of men want you to, first of all, you get with a girl that's overweight. And not to say your friend is overweight, but let's say you get a girl that's overweight. She's been overweight for the past 20 years. Now you get with her. You like her enough to talk to her. But now after 6 months, you want to change her. She don't want to change.
Well,
so-
she may want to, but she may not be ready.
Yeah, and then sometimes you at a different level than she is. She's down here. She's in the pup stage. You in a Billy Badass stage, and now you're trying to get her to that level, and she might not be able to compete with you, work out with you at the level you want, and then she feel ashamed or have these type of feelings that she can't express to you. So that's why it's kind of hard for females.
not to get too much off topic, but we're going to talk about it because I knew this was going to happen. Just for the fact that, okay, he might be Billy Badass, but he might be just trying to get her to be Billy Goat Rough. Just kind of just jump in it and try it. She may be stuck on. I'm not saying it's Makisha, but the woman may not just be trying to do it at all, and he may be seeing her in so many words. And please don't write any hate mail towards me, ladies, but he may be seeing her kind of going to waste per se. And this does go vice versa for male and females, because there are very fit females that want their males to be
I agree.
fit as well. So
I'll let the
But-
expert handle it because you already know what I'm gonna say.
I,
All right.
I believe that there is sometimes you have to lead by example. And I will say this, within our relationship and then within our marriage, I do sometimes say, at one point, one of us got to lead by example. If I want to argue and she just want to listen, that is, to me, kind of leading by example, because next argument, maybe I should listen while she arguing. You know what I'm saying? So I just think in that case it's kind of maybe a lead by example, but don't necessarily mean you're going to do it, but you may be prompt to want to do something.
Like I said, inspired.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a couple comments on mine as well. So, and they have good points. They say being healthy is important, and there are many illnesses as a result of being overweight. So I do understand the person you're with to be healthy.
Yes.
You want them to be alive as long as you or longer. So I get that. I didn't get that was the purpose from that question though. One question I had for her though is what does she mean about he's not giving her time to change? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm going to the gym at 7, you better be ready. Like, I didn't really understand that part.
Well, I don't know. I guess she seems to be pretty much fit. But she says, I'm willing to exercise it, but all I ask is to hold me accountable if it's important to you, and that goes for anything.
Right, and that
finances, exercise, health, etc.
That goes back to what you were saying about them being at different levels, right? So she may be at the point where she wants to try it, but she knows that he's like a rigorous person. He does rigorous workouts, so she may not want to go with him. She may want to go by herself. And you also have a lot of people who are, I don't know how many guys are like this, but I know a lot of women. I'm talking about when they get ready, they know they want to go. They're ready at the point where they're ready to go, but they still feel, I guess, kind of insecure in the gym because they're just now starting their journey, and everybody else in there is all buff and got 6 packs, right? Because they go every day. So it's like, it's not that easy. It's not just about the thing of the let's go. It's more than that. And she may not know how to express it. I'm not saying her specifically,
right,
but a woman may not know how to necessarily express that. She may feel that way and not know how to express it, and he may not even know it's a factor.
All right. So, always, as normal, when it comes to weight, we always get a little bit off topic. But let's bring it back to emotional growth.
Yes.
Not saying that's not part of emotional growth.
I think that does have something to do with emotional growth, being able to express that.
I don't want people to go home and want to argue with their mate and all that stuff about that. I want them to go home and possibly learn from you ways to show or notice, per se, that they have emotionally grown within themselves. Out the broad topics that we...
Okay.
When do you feel like you yourself was emotionally grown? Show growth, rather.
I can say, for one, is when I stopped reacting to people. I used to be so sensitive. I feel like everything somebody said, they was trying to argue if it was a different opinion than mine, especially when you're on social media, even if people you don't know. You're like, no, I know I'm right. If you say something against that, then I have to go back and forth with you.
Right.
I don't do that anymore. If you feel different, that's fine. I may try to explain one more time just so you can understand what I'm saying, but I know now that people need a point of reference to process information. So it doesn't matter how you say something. If they're not ready to receive it, they're not going to get it. And it's not my job to convince them of what I say or what I believe to be true.
Did you ever block any of them?
No, I wasn't to that point.
Oh, okay.
I blocked the person.
You didn't show your emotional maturity.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad, but I literally that's just an example. It could also be in the sense of having a relationship with somebody, even like a sibling or a friend. It's like, if we believe something different, I'm not going to be less of myself again, because I'm a recovering codependent. So I would make myself smaller to make somebody else feel bigger and believe that was somehow balanced. Like,
it's not.
I'm not doing that no more.
So,
a lot of people do that.
Yeah. To make that one individual seem like, I'm guilty of it myself.
I'll give you another one. Have you ever been around somebody that because of how they respond to things, you tend to stay away from it? Like you don't want to cause friction or drama or a reaction out of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what I say to that? F their reaction. That's a reflection of them, not you. So you still have your boundaries, still say what you want to say. You know what I mean? And
So, never mind. It's
no,
too
no,
nasty.
go ahead.
Nope, not that show.
But I used to be that person, like, okay, I know how they react, so I'm just going to stay over here in the corner. Like, nope. But no, now I'm going to be seen and heard regardless of how you take it, because that shows your lack of emotional maturity, not mine.
I think more so if I don't bring up something, I know it's a trigger for the person. So it's not that important to me.
Well, that's different. If somebody has a genuine trigger, and what I mean by that is they know and understand and have fully expressed that this is a trigger of mine. It's different if you identify it to be a trigger. Because how do you know that that's what that is? They have to identify it as a trigger.
Oh, I know.
In order for it to actually be a trigger. So I'm not going to, and that's exactly what I used to do. I used to say, well, that triggers them. I'm not going to do that. Well, if they haven't expressed to me that that's a trigger, then I'm just going to think they're behaving like a child. That's just how I'm going to look at it, because in nine out of 10 cases, it's true. They don't know how to articulate.
But maybe sometimes people don't know what their actual trigger is. You know what I'm saying? You ever ran into someone that like everything like bothers them? Like,
And I stay far away from them.
this air too clean. Like, you know, it's just,
The air too clean.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of signs. Can you tell me if you believe in these or not? It says 8 signs of emotional growth. Number 1, you let go of things that are bad for you.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I mean by staying far away from those people.
All right. So it says it's very important to learn to remove the things that harm us or hold us back from our lives. Number 2, you learn from your mistakes. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely agree.
Okay. We can learn a lot from our failures. It's good to make mistakes and know which things not to repeat. All right. Okay. Anyone do number 3?
You don't complain.
Now that's a tough one. I don't absolutely agree with that. I think that you have a right to complain. However, you shouldn't be complaining to the point where that's where all your energy's going.
Okay.
Okay, I have a complaint. Like you said, the air's too clean, but what are we going to do about it?
All right. So it's saying learning not to cry over spilled milk makes for a more mature person. If you take action to solve problems more and complain less, it's because you're growing.
Yep. Well, that's technically the same thing. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
You celebrate the success of others.
Instead of sit back and secretly hate on them.
Yep. And it says applauding and being truly happy for someone else when something goes well for them is a sign of maturity. This means that you don't envy them, that you understand that they put forth a lot of effort and you're able to recognize someone else's work.
Instead of comparing yourself to them.
You have less troubled relationships.
That's a no-brainer.
And it says learn to put yourself in other people's shoes. Try to arrive at agreement before confronting the other person. You learned that fighting is a waste of time. It's better to look for a solution together. You also realize that it's better to make peace than to be right.
Yes.
All right.
You're not afraid to ask for help.
All right, and it says I'm sorry. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. That's a huge one, actually, bigger than what we think.
All right. It says you thought that asking for help was a sign of weakness and that you should avoid it. It's actually a sign of trust in others. You can't do everything yourself all the time, so it's good to be humble and recognize when you don't know something or when you need help.
You know what you want.
Yes. Yes.
So it's saying you're more aware of what you want to achieve in life, and even when you want to achieve it. When you're sure of yourself, you establish the rules of your own destiny, and you get your expectation for the future down to a science.
Last but not least, you don't care what other people say.
They will put that one last. Now, how many people do you know that don't care about anything? They say it, but do they really mean it? Do their actions reflect that?
I care to a certain extent, me personally, but I care more of people that I actually respect and I love.
That's honest.
Like if I tell anybody, if I argue with you, it's because I care for you and I respect you and I love you.
And I
if
value
I
your
don't
opinion.
argue with you, that means you don't mean nothing to me.
Yes.
So
That's emotional growth.
it says.
Well, I gotta be argued though.
He like that word. I just think he like that word.
I
He
do.
does. He
It says
does.
the fear of what other people will say has kept you up at night many times. But now you're in a new stage of life. You're only interested in opinions of people who want to help you and see you do well. Or in other words, constructive criticism from those around you because you already distanced yourself from toxic people.
Yep, because that was number one.
Oh.
Right?
Yes. Okay.
Coming up that time.
It's that time of
So
day.
we got 2 minutes. All right.
Well,
Let the people know how they can get in contact with you, if they need your help, emotionally, growth. I would ask Candy the last two, but
well, it depends. If they just want assistance from a distance, they can go to my Instagram, which is at the Love Counselor. If they want
Love Counselor, one word.
the Love Counselor.
THE. Okay.
And that's also the name of my website, thelovecounselor.org. And that's where I show my services. And in the beginning, you guys read my bio. So you see that when I say unconventional methods of counseling, a lot of the barriers I was facing within our community was not having insurance, not being able to afford it, not being able to find one that they can trust and that's somebody of their same culture they can relate to. So I try to take away those barriers, and I do it through text, phone, video conference, or in person. You have all of those options at a very low cost.
All right. So if you missed any of that, you can contact me or Candy to get her information, and we can send you the right way. We have 1 minute to finish up. Candy, anything you want to say real quick?
Thank y'all for listening.
And I want to say, Candy, this was a very good topic.
Thank
and,
you.
You picked a very good guest for us to have tonight.
Yes. So articulate.
Thank you for having
I
me.
learned a lot myself, and hopefully our guests and our people did. Feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And good night.
Yes. Feel free to follow us. And
Thank
what
you
does it
for
say
having
one more
me.
time? The Love Counselor.
The Love Counselor on Instagram and thelovecounselor.org, the website.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.